question that we get when we ask students to take Cornell notes in class, or notes period. Why do we have to take notes? I'm glad you asked that question. Have you ever heard of a gentleman named Hermann Ebbinghaus, Ebbinghaus? Well, he was a researcher in the late 1800s, 1886 to be exact, who actually started doing research studies on the ideas and concepts of forgetting and how we remember. And what he found was that on the very first day that you start to learn new information, you obtain 100% of that information, and it's just gelling in that short-term memory. And then what happens on the second day, or within 24 hours later, you're actually losing, if you don't go back to revisit that information, 50 to 80% of that information. Now, I think that it's actually between passing though, because you have to think about who's going out with who, what text did I get, or what am I gonna do this weekend? But that's just me. He also found that as the days go on and on, you lose more and more of that information. So what's the best way to overcome this? Well, that's to actually follow the 10-24-7 model. And that is that repeating the information within 10 minutes, paraphrasing it so that the information gets into the long-term memory, and then 24 hours later, that you come back and revisit the information for at least 10 minutes so that it's really gelled in there. And then 7 days later, typically when we give another quiz or a test, when we ask students, do you remember what we did last week? You don't get, no. But that you get, oh yeah, I remember, here it is. And you study the information and you revisit the information for about 5 minutes or so. So in following that, you keep that nice equilibrium of 80 to 90 to 100% of the information within the 7th day and the 30th day. We also are going to look at Dr. Walter Pock's research. Now, he is the one who actually created Cornell Notes in 1949. And what he did was, he was actually frustrated as to why some of the students were getting C's, D's, F's at Cornell University. And what he found was that students who took no notes whatsoever retained less than 59% of the information. What grade does that give you? An F. He found that if you took some notes, fragmented, gaps, you couldn't understand your writing, how much information do you think they retained? Approximately 59%. Again, what grade does that give you? An F. But if you took copious notes, went back, reviewed your notes, had questions to the left, a summary reflection at the end, and went back and revisited and filled out any gaps, how much information do you think you retained? 90 to 100%. And what grade does that give you? An A. So back to your question as to why do we have to take these notes? Which grade do you want? F, F, or A? Use the videos, information, and resources found here to learn focused note-taking using Cornell Notes.